Alright everybody, we're back today and going to do a solar panel mount on top of the Intrepid. This here is the solar panel, 200 watt flexible solar panel. My mounting choice is going to be the VHB double-sided tape. And I'm also going to use this primer here, supposed to promote adhesion for VHB tape. So I've already wiped this down with some soap and water, and I have wiped down the top of the tent out there, soap and water as well. So we're going to start applying the tape. So what I think I'm going to do here is I placed a tape measure along the top edge there that's going to act as a guide for me to get relatively even spacing, and I'm going to run strips this way to allow a little bit of airflow to get underneath this thing, in hopes that it'll help it perform a little bit better. The cooler these panels stay, the better they perform. So see how it goes. If I need to put some across the top, if I see some movement or something, I can hopefully do that later by adding a little bit of a strip up there. But these primers are just little packs, so I think we just open those up and swipe down across, let it dry, and then go ahead and put the tape on, and we'll do the same thing up on top of the tent. Alright, so we used the primer pads. You can see, even though I had cleaned that off with soap and water, that there was still a bunch of stuff coming off of there. So I went through 3 of those. But here's what we have. I basically spaced the tape every 6 inches along here. A little white paint pen kind of helps to mark each side so you can run the tape straight down and keep it relatively parallel. So let's go out and see what we got going on in the truck. So up here I've cleaned this with soap and water. You can see it's kind of a little bit of debris up there already, so we want to get moving on this pretty quickly. But I'm going to come up here and I marked the corners so I can line this up relatively easy when I come back and keep it square on the top of the tent. Again, this is the Intrepid 3.0. Really nice tent. So we're going to get this solar panel mounted. Alright, so we got the top of the tent prepped, got the panel ready to go. Obviously in the sun, that adhesive stuff dries pretty quick, so I went through pretty many primers. So now the next thing is to figure out how to place this and get it right the first time. Alright, so the hardest part of this whole project was removing the red backer from the VHB tape, and then getting it lined up and letting it drop. But I think I did a pretty good job here. Spot on where I had the marks. So the parallel, the panel is down, the leads are there. So the next step will be figuring out where to wire and mount my EcoFlow battery that I'm going to use this panel to charge. So hopefully this helps you guys out, and we'll keep moving. So we're going to get ready to try and install this EcoFlow Alternator Charger, 800 watts. This is the back side. I already installed the mounting plate on there, but I am installing this on my 2019 Ram, and been looking for a place to run the wire from the battery back into the cab, and I think the best location is here behind this, where your jack is located on the passenger side. So if you remove this, you'll see the jack located there. Remove this screw. Remove the jack. Looks like it's time to vacuum. Anyway, pull back this cover and you're going to find this grommet down there. Just take a screwdriver. Kind of has a little bit of a epoxy or something on there. Just pop that off. See that sealant there to watertight it. But that's the location we're going to try and come through, and then pass back into the rear where I have my fridge freezer located. I'll put the battery next to that, and the EcoFlow battery and the alternator charger next to that. So we got to figure out a location to mount somewhere in here. So that's our goal. So here we are in the back of the truck. I normally run my refrigerator freezer into this AC outlet, but of course that only runs when the truck is on. And when I'm traveling, I put my EcoFlow kind of in this spot, and then I plug the fridge into the EcoFlow battery generator. So for this alternator charger, I think we're going to mount right here. I usually keep these seats up anyway, so I'm going to remove this rubber grommet there, and I think the plan is to mount this in this location, just using that one hole, and then I'll be able to spin this thing in or out as needed to access it. So it'll kind of be on a little bit of a pivot point here. Swing this out, swing it back in, tuck it away. So let's give that a shot. So there it is. Yeah, I think that's going to work out perfectly. We can tuck that away, out of the way if it's needed. And spin it back out. One bolt. This came with the EcoFlow mounting kit, so might tighten it down just a little bit to keep it from coming loose, but yeah, I think that's going to work great. Battery's going to sit right there. Going to plug right into there, and I think we're good. Alright, so a slight change of plans. I decided not to mount on that seat bracket over there, because if I do want to put the seat down, that will interfere with it. So I've fabricated this leftover aux beam switch panel mounting plate that I did not use, and just drilled some holes in it and put this on the bottom. And my plan is to mount this underneath the seat here, and this will just provide a little bit of a standoff so it gets more ventilation around there. So let's give it a shot. So excuse the dust, but I think that's going to work out pretty good. And I'm not going to end up putting my jack back in here anyway, because it's kind of useless for the lift and the weight of my truck. So we're going to route the wire down through here into the engine bay and get it wired up. So we're going to attempt to run the cabling up into the engine bay on the passenger side wheel well. And to do that, I just ran a hanger down through the engine bay, and I'm hooking the eyelet onto there and hopefully be able to pull this up through. So there's where I attached it just temporarily. So we're here in the engine bay making the connection to the battery, and I purchased these terminals on Amazon. You can see there's the positive, there's the negative. The problem is when you put this one on here, there's not really, well, maybe it'll work that way, but in hindsight these guys should have put this bolt on the opposite side so that it could be mounted this way. When it's that way, you can't get the Allen head in there to screw it on. So everything is hooked back up. That's the inline fuse for the EcoFlow Alternator Charger. So all we have left to do is wire tie this cable up, get it underneath the truck, secure it, and we're good to go. So I was able to get the factory scissor jack back in there. Actually, that bracket that I put on there kind of bridges across that jack, so I think that's fine like that. And we'll just put the cover back on and we're ready to go.